That was an enormous shock to us, to see that a little girl who'd been born completely normal and completely healthy with a healthy heart, by the time she was 11 years old was in advanced congestive heart failure. One of my overwhelming memories of her as a youngster was how incredibly inquiring she was, incredibly curious, and a real interest in the natural world. She really did introduce us to another worldview. You know, to drive past Docklands Stadium and to see, as she would say, big mob seagulls sitting on the roof of Docklands Stadium and say, "You eat those eggs?" You know, and it, of course, seagulls lay eggs, but you know, it had never occurred to us to think of the world that way. In terms of health profile, there are two countries within one country. A child with the skin sores that you see in some remote communities would be sent home from childcare if they had those same lesions in Melbourne, but they're normalised to the degree that they're accepted, and therefore the child doesn't get treatment, which then results in you know, the skin infection, the strep infection that leads on to rheumatic heart disease. That was an enormous shock to us, to see that a little girl who'd been born completely normal and completely healthy with a healthy heart, by the time she was 11 years old was in advanced congestive heart failure. We were visiting her for the first time when she was still in ICU after her first surgery, which was of course the first of 5 surgeries in the end. She lay there and she had some questions for us, and the first question is, "Where's your mother? Where's your father? You got brothers? You got sisters?" That importance of family. And then the next one was, which way beach? Which way airport? And so that sense of the importance of family, the importance of place, and knowing where you are in place. And then flopped back, went to sleep. You know, she was really tired, but those were her reference points. And I think from that very beginning, we started to see this is a really good way of looking at the world. This is another way of looking at the world, which is different from our, you know, what time is it? How much have you got? All of that. It was nothing about quantity, it was about family and place. Lila came and went. When she went home, she had domestic social complications, in the sense that she probably didn't receive the supervision and care that she should have done. So within a matter of only a few months, she was actually back, and she was back in heart failure. She was as bad as she had been before her first surgery. So they repaired the valve again. So in the space of less than 12 months, she'd had 2 lots of open heart surgery. And for much of that time, she spent a lot of that with us.
So she came to stay with us in our home, and we got to know her, and she got to know us.
That was, I guess, the start of what it became, you know, a lifetime relationship.
My memory of it is that I sort of always knew that Mum and Dad had been involved in remote communities, and about 2001 I remember that they went to Goombulanya, and I remember, you know, being told that that was where Mum went when she was a veterinary graduate. And when they came back, they talked about this young girl that they had met, who was needing to go to, I think, Adelaide for heart surgery. Mum and Dad said that they had offered for her and her auntie to come and be with us, where they could have a nice warm home with some people there who would make them feel welcome, rather than being in Adelaide where they didn't know anyone. You know, and I just really enjoyed it. I have 3 older sisters and I loved having a little sister. It was great, yeah.
For anybody that's had a valve replacement, they have this lifelong, delicate balance of maintaining the right amount of clotting, not too much clotting, not too little clotting. That's a big challenge for anybody to manage. It's a big challenge for Ballender mob in Melbourne to manage, and it's a huge challenge for a youngster who's 18 years old, with all the other pressures in an 18-year-old's life.
I think Lila's own experiences were the genesis of what we do today at MITS, and it's absolutely true to say that without Lila, MITS would not exist.
So all around Melbourne, there are now families taking in Aboriginal kids, learning from Aboriginal kids, and really embracing true reconciliation, which is living together and understanding together and supporting each other in the quest for the journey of life.
She actually was doing extraordinarily good work. She had settled back on her own country and was working with the Nuwadikan Rangers and was a leader amongst them. We had a phone call from family members to say that she was very, very unwell. She'd formed a clot on the mitral valve which was preventing the blood getting back from the lungs into the heart. So she was basically effectively drowning. In dissolving that very significant clot, obviously there's the risk that it wouldn't just dissolve, that in fact it would break up, and that's exactly what happened. And when they took her off the drugs that were keeping her in the induced coma, she failed to wake up. They then scanned her brain and found that she had clots in her brain. So here was a wonderful young girl, born with a completely normal heart, who died of an entirely preventable disease.